Welcome to episode 4 of the Toilet Rampart Guide. In this episode, we will focus on Rampart's wall tips. Did you know that you can delete items with your walls?
Get my cover out of here.
Let us begin with the basic stuffs. First, you can build your wall behind a cover so it doesn't get destroyed easily.
Putting up some empty.
Not only that, you can also make use of objects around you. Say, this block right here.
Putting up some amped cover.
This can also reduce the exposed area of your wall, making them harder to break. You can even make use of buildings around you, say the wall around this corner.
Tossing up some amped cover.
Again, smaller exposed area means harder to spot and harder to destroy. Another tip is to use your walls to block doorways like this. By doing so, you can open the door, but enemies won't be able to open from the other side. Even if they kick down the door, they will be forced to crouch through your barrier, which means they will be easy targets for you. Or they could choose to take their time and destroy your wall before entering, but that will buy you enough time to do whatever you need to, such as healing, reloading, or repositioning. Don't forget you can pick up your walls, so if you manage to do some good damage on your enemies, don't be afraid to pick up your walls and chase them. You will have full control of the doorway. You can also block explosions with Rampart's wall.
Tossing arc star. Tossing up some amped cover.
This also works on other explosions, such as airstrike from Bangalore and Gibraltar. Just make sure the explosion doesn't have a line of sight with you, and you will be fine. Another tip is that you can always look at the color of the indicator. I know it is hard to keep track of the status of every wall, but by looking at the color of the indicator, you will know whether you will gain a charge back or not. Another basic but also important tip is to pack up your walls when you are moving. When I say pack up your walls, I don't mean you need to pack up every wall in the building. That would take too much time and you may be too far away from your teammates. So what you need to pick up are two kinds of wall. The first kind is undamaged walls. You will have your charge back, so do not leave them there. And the second is the walls that will be facing you if you move. You don't want your enemies to use your own walls against you, right? So make sure to pack up the walls that could be a potential threat to you and your team. Next, try to be tricky with your wall placements. For example, when you know your enemies are very hurt and they are healing, you can take the opportunity to place down your walls. They can't shoot it anyways. Another tricky way to place your walls is to predict your enemy. If you were them, where would you be looking at? Then you try to place a wall in an unexpected spot to catch them off guard. Now, before we move to the advanced tips, I would like to point out two mistakes that some new ramparts may make. The first one is building a triangle like this. My advice is to never do this, because one, when you are doing this, that means you are fighting in the open. You are fighting without cover. So you never do that. Even you are a rampart, you can place down covers. They are not that strong. So do not get yourself in such a situation. And number two, let's say you absolutely have to do this. Make sure you leave some gaps between you and the walls like this. That way, you can actually cover a decent angle. It's alright, and you will have some room to move, so you won't be trapped once an enemy broke one of your walls or they jump in. You'll still have some room to move around. Another mistake I see from time to time is wall spamming. There are two kinds of wall spamming. Number one is placing walls like this.
Tossing up some amped cover.
While an enemy is shooting right at you, 90% of the time you will get all your 3 walls destroyed and you will have nothing left to place. You are going to waste your wall. Instead, if you find yourself being watched by an enemy and you couldn't place the first wall, you should try to relocate and find another better spot or find another time to place down a wall. Here is the second form of wall spamming. Let's say I'm right here standing behind this cover, trying to fight enemies over there. We are poking each other, trying to level up our evil shield. Let's look at our walls in this building. This wall is a good wall because it is serving the purpose of blocking the door, so I don't get jumped on easily. But this wall is not serving a purpose. I'm fighting here, so that wall is not going to matter for me. It is not protecting me, it is not helping me to do damage, it is not helping me to gain information. So the only thing that could happen to this wall while I'm fighting the enemies over there is getting destroyed by some random enemies. So I am going to lose a wall for nothing. So make sure every wall you place has a purpose. You can only place 5 walls at a time, so make sure you think before you place your walls. And now we can finally move to the advanced tips. The first advanced tips is to dance around your walls. When you place down a wall in front of an enemy, you can use some movements, if you know how to do it, around your walls, not behind your walls, next to it, so that your enemies will be forced to choose between shooting you and shooting your walls. If they decided to shoot you, that's alright, you can get back to your wall after it is done building. If they choose to shoot your walls, it is also fine. That means they aren't shooting at you, and now you will have the chance to shoot them without taking any risk. My second advanced tips would be to use your walls as free peek or distraction. If you are not sure whether someone is looking at you, just put your walls around a corner or in front of you. If someone's looking at you, they will shoot at the cover. You can know how many of them are there, where are they at, or even what weapons they are using if you are familiar with the gunshots. Another use is distraction. You can place a wall on the left side of a cover and then go the right side. So this is a bit similar to tip number 1, forcing your enemies to choose. And this time you use it as a distraction, so you can relocate more safely. You can waste the ammo in their mag, so that when you are crossing the open, they don't have much bullets to target you. My third advanced rampart tip would be building walls behind walls. This doesn't mean I am going to shoot through the 2 walls. Instead, I will use them separately. If the first wall breaks, then I can return to my backup wall and keep fighting. You can also use the second wall as a trap, so that you lure your enemies in and kill them with the help of your second wall. Advanced tip number 4 is to use your walls to redirect enemies. You can leave 1 or 2 angles open on purpose and guide your enemies there. That way it will be easier to defend and even get a knock if you are lucky enough. You can make your walls more durable by reducing their exposed area. For example, here you can see this wall appears to be wider than this wall because this one is being put at an angle, which means this one will be harder to break and making it effectively more durable than this one. You can also make use of objects around you to reduce the exposure of your walls. Say you are trying to fight an enemy here. Instead of placing a wall here, try to make use of this wall. And now, only a corner of your wall is exposed to the enemies, so they will have a harder time breaking your wall. And again, this can make your wall effectively more durable than this one here. Key binding is another important issue for Rampart, especially for the character utility function button. You will be using this button a lot when you are playing Rampart, so make sure it doesn't interfere with your movement keys, such as strafing, jumping, and sliding. I personally put that button onto my mouse side button, so that I can do everything smoothly and pick up my cover without interfering in other things. Another important tip for using her walls is to try to avoid slopes. This is because they either turn out to be providing less protection or blocking your vision severely. Sometimes you can even slip out for no reason. So putting covers on slopes is definitely not a great idea. You can also bait shots with her walls. In Apex Legends, guns have a relatively small magazine. You need to be crazy accurate to one-mag someone. So if I am able to lure someone into wasting their bullets, then they won't have enough bullets to one-clip me. So this is what I am doing here. I keep crouching and peeking behind my wall, and they eventually choose to try to shoot me, and which they ended up wasting their bullets. And while they are reloading or when they are switching guns, that is our opportunity to fight back and win the fight. My last advanced tip would be using super gliding on her walls. Super gliding is a big part of my gameplay, and this topic alone deserves its own video, so I decided to make it episode 6 of the Toilet Rampart Guide. Make sure you check it out later, because it is such a simple yet effective and powerful technique for Rampart. This is pretty much the end of today's episode. Here are some key points that I want you to take away. The first thing is that walls are not very reliable because they only have a 400 HP for the base. So even a flatline is able to take it out in one mag. Make sure you treat your cover as extension of your existing cover rather than a reliable cover itself. The second key point is that you can always be creative with her cover. While its original purpose is to block incoming damage and boost your damage, you can also use it as distraction, as bait, or whatever you want to. You can even use it as a stool to climb up places that aren't possible with regular climbs. Next episode will be episode 5, Sheila Tips. Sheila is a powerful weapon. However, as mentioned in episode 2, it has some limitations as well. In episode 5, I will tell you how to overcome those limitations and use Sheila to its full potential. Looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye!